Dear students and my teacher friends, Namaskar. I welcome you to the presentation lecture on organization of the nervous system. Now, this is the first lecture for the nervous system, and this lecture, I can say this lecture is very important for you. The reason is with this lecture, with this topic, you will learn about the components of the nervous system, what the nervous system is made up of. Then you will learn about the nerves, then their numbers, how many cranial nerves, how many spinal nerves are there, then the division of the nervous system. So all these things we are going to discuss in this lecture. So starting with the first point. Now the mass of entire nervous system, so it is nearly 2 kg or 4.5 pound. So the mass of the nervous system, the entire nervous system mass is 2 kg, and this mass is about 3% of total body weight. 3% means let's say the person is weighing 100 kg, then 3 kg will be the weight of the entire nervous system in that person's body. So that is the meaning of this 3%. Now, nervous system is the smallest system of the body amongst the total 11 body system. So in our body, total 11 systems are there, and one of them is nervous system, and nervous system is the smallest one, and yet it is complex one. The reason for the complexity for the nervous system is that there are so many neurons, so many nerves are there. Then the supporting system, connective tissue, nerve impulses, then the integration of information, analyzing of information. All these things are happening in the nervous system. Okay, sensory nerves are passing the nerve impulses to the CNS, then from the CNS the motor nerves, they are carrying the information to the effector organ. So all this process they are carried out by the nervous system, and that's why the nervous system is the most complex system of our body. So with this we have completed the first point of our discussion. Now moving on the second point. Now before we discuss the second point, I would like to show you the entire nervous system. So in this figure, you just observe the figure. Now you need not require to remember this name right now. Just you observe the figure, you go through the figure. For example, here the brain is shown, and how from the brain these cranial nerves are arising. Then here the yellow color spinal cord in the center, spinal cord is shown, and you can see spinal nerves are arising from the spinal cord, and where the spinal nerves they are reaching. Okay, so the name of the spinal nerves, so if you are interested you can read the names. This side also. Just once you read the names. So these are the spinal nerves. Okay. Now this is also a figure of nervous system. See how where exactly the brain is located. The spinal cord is shown, then the nerves are shown. This figure is also for the nervous system. Then here you see these are the total 11 system of our body: skin, hair and nail, skeletal system, muscular system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic and immune system, digestive system, urinary system, reproductive system and endocrine system. Then nervous system and respiratory system. So these are the 11 system which are present in our body, and among these 11 system, the nervous system is the most complex system. Now, discussing the second point, this is the second point. Now, what exactly nervous system is composed of? So, nervous system is the intricate means very dense, very complex network of billions of neurons. So, in the composition of the nervous system, many neurons are present and their number is in billions. And not only the neurons, along with the neurons, neuroglia are the specialized cell which are also present in our nervous system. So in the figure I am showing you this neuroglia. One minute. So this is in this figure. This is the neuron is shown. This one is the neuron, and this cell, asterocyte, is one of the type of neuroglia. Now, what exactly the neuroglia is? So you can see this neuroglia support and maintain neurons. The function of neuroglia. So we can say the neuroglia are the supporting cell and the maintaining cell for the neurons. Now, the neurons, they are associated, they are connected very closely to the much smaller cells, and these smaller cells are known as the neuroglia, nerve glue, neuroglia cell or the glial cell. So neuroglia are the supporting cell for the neurons. Now, coming back to the our discussion on the second point, that why our nervous system is very complex. So this point we were discussing. So in short, the nervous system is composed of the neurons, and along with the neurons, the neuroglia cells are also present. Now we can divide this nervous system into two subdivisions. That is, we can divide the nervous system into the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So here in this concept map, you can see in the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord are included. So CNS is consist of the brain and spinal cord. So this is one important concept map for you for this topic. So I am showing you the entire concept map. This way. Now this is the third point of our discussion. Now neurology. What is neurology? So neurology is the branch of biology, and this branch deals with the normal functioning and disorders of the nervous system. So the person who is studying the neurology is basically studying the nervous system, the components of nervous system, then the nerve cell, type of nerves, then the disorders or diseases which are related with the nervous system. Okay, and why these disorders are caused, so they diagnose also, and what is the cure, surgery is required to perform on the patient. So all this aspect they are studied under the neurology. Now the person who studies this neurology, that is the physician or the doctor. So the physician or the doctor who studied this subject, neurology, that person is known as not neurologist, it is neurologist. So the neurologist, the doctor, is the person who diagnose and treat the disorder of the nervous system. So basically the physician, the neurologist, they tackle with the diseases of the nervous system, and they are also curing, or if required they are performing the surgery on the patient. So that is the meaning of this third point. Now the fourth point, what is CNS? So full form for the CNS is the central nervous system, and central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. So CNS is made up of brain and spinal cord. So here in the figure you can see this is the brain, and this one is the spinal cord. So this way. Now fifth point, now the brain is the part of CNS, and where this brain is present, where this brain is located in our body. So brain is located in the skull. So here in the figure you can see that this one is our skull, this is the skull is shown, and inside the skull this is the brain is present. So this is the brain. Okay, now in the brain there are about 85 billion neurons are present, and our brain is connected to spinal cord. Now how this spinal cord enters into the skull, and how the spinal cord connects with the brain. So what happens, in the occipital bone, there is one hole, and this hole is known as the foramen magnum, of the occipital bone. So from this hole this spinal cord enters into the skull, and the spinal cord connects with the brain. Okay, so here in the figure first of all, you observe this figure, how the brain is located inside the skull. Okay. And here you see in the occipital bone this hole. Okay, this hole is known as foramen magnum. So from this hole, spinal cord enters into the skull and spinal cord connects with the brain. Now the spinal cord, we know the spinal cord is present in the vertebral column. It is protected inside the vertebral column. So the bones of the vertebral column, that are the vertebrae, they are protecting the spinal cord. So here in the figure you see that in this figure, this one is the spinal cord, and this one, and this one. So this is the vertebral column, and we know the vertebral column is made up of the vertebrae. Okay, vertebrae joined together and the vertebral column is formed, and in the cavity of the vertebral column the spinal cord is present. It is protected over there. Okay, so this is the fifth point of our discussion, location of brain and spinal cord. Now moving on the sixth point of our discussion. Now in the spinal cord, about 100 million neurons are present. This one is the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord, and in the spinal cord about 100 million neurons are present. Now the CNS, what the function of CNS, that is the function of brain and spinal cord. So the CNS processes many different kind of incoming sensory information. Many kind of information, they are analyzed, they are interpreted in our brain and spinal cord. Then the CNS is also the source of thought, our thought process, our thinking process. So that process, for that, our thinking, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, we are sad, we are happy, okay, we are tense. So all this are controlled by the CNS. Then our memories, okay, many year ago, if you have watched any movie, so the entire story, it is possible that we are remembering the story of the movie. Okay, we have read the books in the past, and many information we are still keeping in our mind. So that is the meaning of memory. Okay, we have visited some good places, so the memory of that good place is there in our mind. Okay, so the memory is stored in the CNS. Then CNS, most signal that stimulate muscle to contract and glands to secrete originate in the CNS. Now muscle contraction is also controlled by CNS. Let's say you decide to walk, you decide to run, you decide to exercise, you decide to write. So who is giving the order? So the CNS is giving the order with the help of nerve and nerve impulse to the muscle. Then in our body we know that various kind of glands are present, and this secretion of this gland, they are controlled by this central nervous system. So this is the seventh point. Now moving on the eighth point. So with this we have completed the discussion regarding the CNS. So here in this figure First you observe this figure. So see, brain and spinal cord, they are included in the CNS, and in the purple color the PNS is shown. Now cranial nerves, spinal nerves, then the enteric plexus is in small intestine, sensory receptor in the skin and other parts of body. So all the sensory receptors, then the plexuses, then spinal nerves, cranial nerves, all these are included under peripheral nervous system. Okay, so now we are discussing the 8th point, that is the peripheral nervous system. Now peripheral nervous system, in short it is known as PNS. And how we should pronounce this PNS? So it is peripheral, peripheral nervous system. And this peripheral nervous system is consists of all nervous tissue outside the CNS. So entire nervous system and minus entire nervous system minus CNS is equal to PNS. Okay, that means what is included in PNS? So the nerves are included, nerve fibers are included, and the sensory receptors are also included in this PNS. So this was the 8th point regarding the PNS. Now moving on the 9th point. Now before we discuss the 9th point, I would like to show you this concept map. This is also useful for you. Okay, this concept map covers the entire lecture. Yeah. I have included 3 to 4 concept map so that you can understand properly. Now this is the 9th point, and here in the 9th point now we are discussing about the nerve. Now before we discuss about the nerve, I would like to show you various kind of neuron. Now I am going to deliver the entire lecture on type of neuron. Now before that I will deliver the lecture on the structure of neuron, but here today, as far as this lecture is concerned, you try to understand this figure. For example, here the unipolar neuron, the nerve cell is shown, and this is the axon and the dendrite. Okay, and this one is the cell body. This is the unipolar, then bipolar neuron, and third one is the multipolar neuron, and this one is the axon, and these are the dendrite, and in the center there is the cell body. So these are the parts or the components of the neuron, various kind of neuron, mainly 3 kind. Now what exactly the nerve is, what the nerve is made up of? So the nerve is actually a bundle of hundred to thousands of axon. So let's say for example this axon, and many axon of this kind, they are very close to each other. Okay, and they make a bundle. So the bundle of the axon, along with the bundle of the axon, then connective tissue is there and the blood vessels are also present. So bundle of axon plus connective tissue plus blood vessel, they comprise, they form, they make the nerve. Okay, now where the nerve is present? So nerve arise from the brain, nerve arise from the spinal cord. So here in the figure structure of nerve is shown. Nerve structure. This is the nerve is shown. You see all the names. Okay. This is the peripheral nerve is shown. See, this is the axon. One axon is shown. Okay. Then the bundle of axon. Okay. Nerve fiber. Then nerve fascicle. What is nerve fascicle? Bundle of group of nerve fiber. Okay. And what is nerve fiber? So elongated axons. That are the nerve fibers. Then perineurium, then the blood vessel. Okay. Then epineurium. So what is this epineurium? Strong protective outer covering for the whole nerve. Then covering of fascicle, that is perineurium. Okay. Then what is endoneurium? Layer of delicate connective tissue around the myelin sheath. Endoneurium. Okay. So this is the structure of nerve. So with this we have completed the 9th point. Now moving on the 10th point. Now before that, let's observe this figure. So here, this one is the spinal cord, and from the spinal cord you see the spinal nerve is arising. So here, this one is the spinal nerve. Okay. Spinal cord, spinal nerve. Now let's talk about the cranial nerve. Now what are the cranial nerves? So cranial nerve, they come out from the brain. They emerge out from the brain. And how many cranial nerves are there? So there are total 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, and there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. And this 31 pair of spinal nerve, they emerge out from the spinal cord. So first I am showing you the cranial nerves, okay, and then I will show you the spinal nerves. So here in the figure, as you can see in the center, the brain is shown, and with the Roman numerical they are showing the nerve, okay, the cranial nerve. So here, for example, 1 is written, and number 1 means this nerve is the olfactory nerve. So this nerve is responsible for the olfaction. Okay, olfaction means smelling. Okay, sense of smell, that is olfaction. Then optic nerve. Okay, we are looking, we are observing, we are seeing many things. Okay, so the seeing process, that is controlled by optic nerve. Okay, then the muscle of eyeball. So these 3 nerve, 3, 4 and 6, they are controlling the eye muscle, eyeball muscle. Then 8 number, vestibulocochlear nerve, okay, responsible for maintenance of body balance. Then glossopharyngeal and hypoglossal nerve. Vagus nerve, okay, vagus nerve, body organ, okay, body organs, controlling of the body organ activity. Spinal accessory nerve, facial nerve, okay, so facial nerve controlling our facial expression, okay. Then trigeminal nerve. So all these nerves, all these names are there in your syllabus, so try to remember all the names. Now the 31 pair of spinal nerve. So here this is the arrangement, this is the spinal cord, and you can see one pair is emerging out, one pair of spinal nerve is emerging out, this one, this one, and this one. Now here in the figure, see 31 pairs of spinal nerve, and this spinal nerves, 31 pair, they are emerging out from the different parts of the spinal cord. So they are present in different region. For example, in cervical region from the spinal cord, there emerges 8 pairs of cervical nerves, which are shown orange in color. Then in thoracic region from the spinal cord emerges out 12 pair of thoracic nerves. Then in the lumbar region 5 pairs of lumbar nerves, and in the sacral region 6 pair of sacral nerves. So this becomes the total 31 pair of spinal nerves. So with this we have completed the discussion of the 10th point. Now moving on the 11th point. Now where these nerves are going and what is the role they are playing. So in our body each nerve follows a definite part. So each particular nerve is having a particular route in our body to travel, and they serve a specific function at specific body organ. And the term sensory receptor, see, on our body organ the sensory receptors are present, and this sensory receptor, when they are excited, when these receptors are stimulated, they generate the nerve impulse, and this nerve impulse then enter into the nerve fiber, and the nerve fiber passes the nerve impulse into the nerves, okay, and from the nerve impulse pass into the spinal cord and the brain, okay. So with the help of the nerves, the nervous system monitors the changes in external or internal environment. So what happens? Whatever the activities which are taking place in our body involuntarily, even if we are not aware of that. Let's say in the testis sperm production is going on continuously, but we are not aware of that. Okay, in the kidney urine formation is going on, but we are not aware of it. In the digestive system there is a digestion process is going on, but we are not knowing about that. Okay, so this automatic, this continuous process, they are going on in our body, and they are controlled by the nerve. Okay, so the nerve and the nerve fibers, they reach to all the body organ, and these nerves, they are controlling all the body parts. Now the sensory receptors, types of, or the example of sensory receptor, so that receptor, they include the touch receptor in the skin. So let's say someone is touching our body, so we experience the touch sensation. Okay, so we, for that, this touch sensation, the sensory receptors are present, so they detect that someone has touched our body. Okay, so the nerve impulse then pass into the nerve fiber, then the nerve, then into the CNS. Then in our eye, the photoreceptor are present. So for our vision, this photoreceptor, for our eyesight, for our vision, the photoreceptor, we can see the different thing, we can visualize the thing, we can observe the color, we can see that it is the daytime or the night time. So all this, for all this photoreceptors are responsible. Then olfactory receptors are present in the nose, and with this olfactory receptor we receive the sensation of smell. Let's say the smell of perfume or the flowers. Okay, so this was the 11th point, the role of the nerve. Now moving on to the 12th point of our discussion. Now here you see one finger is shown, and why they are showing the finger? So in the finger there are touch receptors are there, and let's say on the table one cup which is filled with hot coffee is there on the table, but we have no idea that the coffee is hot or cold. So to determine the hotness or coldness of the coffee, we will gently touch the cup, and the moment we touch the cup, then we realize how hot or cold the coffee is. Okay, and if the coffee, let's say the coffee is cold, then the information from our finger will reach in our CNS, that is in the spinal cord and brain. So brain will realize that the coffee is cold, so brain will send the nerve impulse to our muscle, let's say the muscle of our hand. So we will hold the coffee, then we will pour this coffee into our utensil, and on the burner of the gas we will lighten the burner of the gas, and we will make the coffee once again the hot one, and then we will pour into the cup, and then we will have the taste of a coffee. Okay, so this is what happening over here. Then here you see a glass of water is there. So our eye is seeing that the glass is filled with the water, And from the eye, optic nerve sends the nerve impulse to our brain, and then brain analyze this information that the glass is filled with the water, and then the brain sends the nerve impulse to the motor nerve to our muscles of hand, and then we decide to drink the water. Okay. So this is, so CNS and PNS is shown. Okay. Now this is also one good concept map for you, and this map is also covering the entire discussion, so you can go through this map also. Now let's discuss the PNS. The PNS, full form of PNS is known as Peripheral Nervous System. Now this PNS is divided into sensory and motor division. For example, here in the chart you see on the left hand side a sensory in the bracket efferent division is shown, and on the right hand side the motor or efferent division is shown. So PNS is divided into sensory division and the motor division. Okay. Now the function of the sensory division. See, the sensory or the efferent division of the PNS conveys input into the CNS. That means the sensory division sending the signal, sending the nerve impulse to our brain and the spinal cord with the help of sensory receptor, and the sensory receptor are present in all the body organ. Now there are varieties, there are different types of sensory receptor, and these receptor are known as the somatic. Soma means body. So the receptors, various kind of receptors are present in our body. Let's say the tactile receptor responsible for the touch sensation, then the thermal receptor. So with the thermal receptor we can experience the hotness or coldness of the temperature in the room or outside environment. Then in our body, if there is certain kind of pain, that pain can be determined that pain can be felt by the sensory receptor, and the sensory receptor they pass the information to the PNS, then the brain and spinal cord. Okay. So actually the receptor pass the information, the nerve impulse to the fiber, then fiber to the nerve, and the nerve then spinal cord and the brain. So this is the route of traveling of nerve impulse. Then proprioceptive sensation. Proprioceptive sensation means the position and movement of the body, so the balancing of the body. So for that there are the receptors, and this receptor they are continuously sending the signal or the nerve impulse to the CNS. So this is about the sensory division. Sensory is basically, so these are the spatial senses. Smell, we can smell, let's say the smell of perfume, so we can experience, so it is the good one or not a, or it is a so not a good one. Perfume is good or it is not good, we can taste the various kind of food item, we can see our world, we can listen to the music, we can balance our body, and we can walk. Okay, so all this information, okay, they pass from the sensory division to the PNS, and from the PNS to the central nervous system. So what the PNS is? So PNS, so let's first understand, this is the CNS. CNS means brain and spinal cord. From brain and spinal cord, the nerves are emerging out. Brain, cranial nerve, spinal cord, spinal nerve. So the peripheral nervous system is made up of the nerves. Okay, then this fibers, somatic and visceral sensory fibers. So these fibers, they are sending the nerve impulse to the nerves, let's say the spinal nerve. And how this sensory nerve fiber is receiving the information? So with the help of sensory receptor. So sensory receptor is one thing, sensory fiber second thing, then the nerve third thing, and the last thing is the CNS. This is how the nerve impulse travel from the sensory organ or the division of the body to the CNS. So this is the 12th point. Now let's discuss the point number 13. Now point number 13, we are discussing motor or efferent division. Now motor or efferent division is divided into two parts: somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so now motor or efferent division of the PNS. So what this division is doing? So in simple term, I would like to tell you that this brain and spinal cord, they analyze the information from this sensory organ, let's say our nose or our skin or our tongue or our eye, and this information are analyzed, they are interpreted by the brain and spinal cord. Then the brain and spinal cord, they decide what to do. So that information pass in the form of nerve impulse into the nerves, and then from the nerves, nerve fibers are arise, and these nerve fibers, they are reaching, they are in the contact with various body organ, and they are instructing the body organs how they should perform, how they should do their job. Okay, so the proper functioning, the message is conveyed by motor division to the body organ. Okay, so we can divide this motor division. So see, in the motor division, motor nerve fibers are there, and where these fibers are reaching, okay, so the fibers, they are reaching. So we can divide these fibers into two types: somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So the PNS, the motor or the efferent division of the PNS, as I have explained you, that it sends the impulse from the CNS to the muscle or the glands of the body, and this PNS is divided into two divisions, that is the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. So we can divide motor division into somatic nervous system and ANS, autonomic nervous system. So first, somatic nervous system. Now here you see what is happening. Nerve impulse, brain and spinal cord, they are sending the nerve impulse via nerve. Nerve impulse come into motor fiber. Then this motor fiber sending the nerve impulse into our skeletal muscle. So when the nerve impulse reaches to the skeletal muscle contract. So when we decide that we want to walk, what happens? The nerve impulse from our brain, it will travel all along the nerve, then the nerve fiber, then the nerve impulse finally will reach into the leg muscle. And with the help of our leg muscle, we will start walking. Okay, so the somatic nervous system, see here, first of all, somatic nervous system. So it is not somatic, it is, we should pronounce it as somatic. Okay, so soma means body. And as I have explained you that the information what this somatic nervous system is doing, so it is conveying, it is passing the information in the form of nerve impulse from the CNS to the skeletal muscle. And we know the movement of skeletal muscle is our voluntary control. Okay, we can voluntarily control our skeletal muscle, we can give order to the skeletal muscle how we need to move our skeletal muscle. So that's why this division, this part of the PNS is under the voluntary control. We can write on the paper, we can hold the thing. Okay, we can play the chess, or the game of chess, okay, by moving the pieces on the board. Okay, so all this activity we are doing voluntarily. Now let's talk about the second division of motor division, that is the autonomic nervous system. Okay, and autonomic nervous system is, you see, autonomic nervous system is visceral, motor, and it is involuntarily. Involuntary means it is controlling the body organ without our consciousness. Means it is occurring, it is taking place. The control is automatic. It is there, control is there, but we are not aware of that. Okay. So the fibers, nerve fibers, where they are reaching, so cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, and the glands. Okay, so the ANS is subdivided into sympathetic division and parasympathetic division. So let's discuss the point number 15 now. So see, autonomic nervous system, ANS. How we should pronounce this autonomic nervous system? It is autonomic. Autonomic nervous system. Auto means self, nomic, law. Now what this autonomic nervous system is doing, so it is conveying, it is passing the nerve impulse from the CNS to the smooth muscle. Now we know in our internal body organ, let's say the esophagus or the wall of stomach or the small intestine or the large intestine, in all this organ the smooth muscle are present, and the contraction and relaxation of this muscle, we are not deciding that they should contract or relax. The process is automatic, and this process is under the control is under the control of ANS. Okay, so the ANS, the nerve fibers of ANS, they are passing the nerve impulse to smooth muscle, then the cardiac muscle, they are present in the wall of heart. Okay, then the gland in our body, various type of glands are present, and the secretion of the gland. So the gland secretion is also controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Okay, and all this action are involuntary. That means the contraction and relaxation of smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, secretion of gland. So all these, they are performing their work and we are not aware of it. That is the meaning of this in